profanities, you're probably protected. It's really the amount of interference it causes with the actual school.
So there's no actual, do you guys actually have a policy for this?
We can't govern, I mean, it's
Right.
it's
So
almost,
absolutely,
That would almost
absolutely.
be preemption, which is definitely.
So unless it's something that once again, if it would harm a student or we know
Right.
knowingly that someone's in danger
I mean,
because of it.
and we have it too, where people post stuff, and we know that they're doing illegal substances, or what looks to be illegal substances, and there's nothing we could do about it. Now, if the picture is in the school parking lot, or at a football game, or at somewhere else, that's totally different. Or if it's at a school-sponsored activity, that's something totally different. But if it's at somebody's house, they have a party that night, and they posted something,
So the guidance office couldn't even intervene with
well, there's other ways around it. There's SAP referrals and those types of
Right,
things too, that
that's
we
what
can
they
start the process. But again, even with that, the parents could decide we refuse any type of, and we get that a lot. I mean, parents refuse the support that we can offer for many different reasons. But that's really the extent that we could do with that.
I mean, I can speak when I was high school principal. I had stuff sent to me, a party in someone's house in the basement. What am I gonna do? What I did, I called the parents in of the student and said, this is what I received. This was your house. I'm just telling you. There's nothing I can do. It's not my house. It's not my, I don't want to say my responsibility. I mean, I can talk to the students and try to say, hey, make sure you're making good choices, do this, do that. But I'm not God and juror to come in and say, well, geez, there was a party at your house, I want charges against you.
As soon as that student steps foot on their house at the end of the day, we've lost.
Yeah.
So we have it where the kids go home and then they decide to meet down in the Grove for, they're gonna have a little altercation, two of them. And they do it, it's posted throughout, the school, it's videotaped, it's on YouTube. Now the police, that's a different story, but as far as the school board, can't do anything about it.
I guess it would go the same way even if you see a kid with weapons at home, and he's bragging that he has it and it's brought your attention, you still, even if they showed up to
We
school.
can't do anything, we can just, there's nothing we could do, we would, say.
Is there a raised awareness at least?
Yeah, absolutely. And we get stuff sent to us, and like Mr. Tax said, call the parents right away. And a lot of times, those type of things we get words of things at night, and I know I can speak very highly of our administration, where they called the parent 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, Saturday nights, Sunday nights, went to houses, just to let the parents know that, hey, this was sent to us, we want you to be aware.
I mean, we've had situations after the incident last year, Parkland, Florida. I mean, I had knocking on my door at 9 o'clock at night, a concerned parent. I contacted Mrs. Holland, went through there, different things. Last year, there were several times local agencies, federal agencies. That's one thing we take serious. And as soon as that comes to light to us, that's
constant communication with local, state, and federal bureaus.
FBI,
Or
everybody.
any,
We notify the FBI. We have a direct line to the FBI with everything, and when we get any type of threat, even if we can't do anything, I guarantee you someone's being
it's
notified.
documented and it's reported.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. So, the policy book's in front of you. So do you know kind of where that student writes things that he's talking about?
In that book?
Yeah.
I would absolutely not be able to find it in that book, but
See?
in our office, it's in a folder.
It's in a folder,
Just
okay.
that one policy.
No problem. That's the school policy, though. You're familiar with that? All right.
Yeah, we have a copy of that
Students have
individual
200.
thing,
Yeah.
so,
So
I'll be able to find it.
is there anywhere in that policy or in this handbook that describes something called a silent lunch?
Yes, page number 6, I believe, of the student handbook refers to an acceptable noise level in the cafeteria in which we trust our people to make that decision. As I said, the cafeteria was an area that we identified.
Page 7. Print out.
Page 7. Okay, page number 7 under the cafeteria. And I believe it's item number 5. But they do have a visual reinforcement. We have thermometers that our art department created, and we monitor them, and they get to see how their noise level increases or decreases, and we reward them for positive behavior. As I said, our 8th grade did a fantastic job. We have some other people that create problems, and we monitor that. I know our school police officers also go over there during the day to actually sit in the cafeteria because it is an area of concern. Any unstructured time is going to give opportunity for infractions. We have excellent students, we have excellent staff. The unstructured time, such as the cafeteria, recess, when we allow them to go out and enjoy some recess time in the enclosed area of the patio, that's when we have problems.
So you're talking about someone talking loud or being out of turn? Or you have a thing called silent lunch, meaning no one's allowed to speak?
Well, one of the things you have to remember, we have always had behavior controls in any school building, even when I taught at the elementary level. And one of the big things was you turn the lights down. And when the lights get turned down, the students know that they need to remain silent. They need to lower that voice. It's fantastic that our middle school has been remodeled and we have excellent natural light, but unfortunately we can't turn the lights down. Because even if we turn our lights off, there is so much natural light the kids never notice. So our lunch aides tell them it's silent lunch.
But it's silent, meaning no one's allowed to speak during this lunch period?
It's more like a quiet lunch. I wouldn't
Well, it's
use
the
the
term,
term silent.
hold on, the term that I was given, reported for not following directives and talking during silent lunch.
Quiet lunch.
Now, silent lunch. Rita?
That's not what
And-
the email said, Mr.
This
Read.
silent,
When
this-
quiet lunch does not go automatically.
Let me
They
help
are
you.
warned.
This is Rita.
Absolutely.
and not every
What's that
student, when this happens, is on a quiet lunch. There are 60
Sorry,
students who
silent
have
lunch.
rewards that are
Mr.
outside.
Bradley, I asked you,
and-
Mr. Bradley,
Not quiet.
Mr.
Quiet lunch
Bradley,
one. That's
Mr. Bradley, I asked
Scott.
you, please don't approach them. Please, just, you can ask
I'm
them
trying
questions.
to.
I know, but you don't need to approach.
Oh,
We're
she's
here for
there to
safety,
stay quiet.
we're here for
She's
safety,
silent.
we're here
So
for
the question
safety and
is-
security.
Is there such a thing as a silent lunch? You're going to tell everybody in this lunch they're not allowed to speak today.
No.
We don't do that.
There are students who have rewards, who sit in the foyer, who sit outside. The lunch is not quiet for them. But as it says in that manual there, we are required to maintain order in the building. Sometimes the volume gets a little too loud, where we ask students to quiet down. When it gets loud, it disrupts our office. We have meetings going on. There's classrooms around our cafeteria. So we need to maintain some level of noise in that area.
Well, we're talking about a 5-day detention, or whatever this is that they use, detention, for someone that was talking, not loudly, or just says talking during a silent lunch. So you're talking about maintaining order and keeping people quiet. We respect all that. But is there somewhere where you guys tell these kids during their free lunch period that they can't use their First Amendment right, or just they can't speak to each other and socialize? That's one of the important parts of this school, is to be able to socialize. So does our policy actually allow you the authority, or does this rule book allow you the authority to tell all of our students inside of a lunch period that today there's no talking at lunch?
Mr. Bradley, what does that word say? What does that word say that you emailed to me? What does it say? Quiet lunch policy.
Thank you. I understand.
Yeah, maybe you need the reading lesson.
No,
What
I
do you think?
understand, Peter.
It's okay to be wrong.
Bradley, these
It's
are,
not-
it's not
It
their
says
first
silent.
time.
It says
Hey,
silent.
don't approach
It says
me.
silent.
They've
I'm not
been
pushing.
warned several times. It's not where they just walk in and say, everyone, you're gonna have a quiet lunch.
Well, it's silent.
Okay?
Let's use the word
It's
silent. So
progressive.
the answer is silent.
Can I, you know what, you wanna know, we try to talk, you interrupt, you keep going till you get your way, you don't be quiet until you get your way. It's like a little baby.
I'm trying to get an answer,
Okay.
Mr. Tack.
Can I
The answer
talk?
is, do you tell these students that they're not allowed to talk at all during this
I
lunch?
can give you any answer, but you're gonna keep refuting it till you listen to yourself mumble jumble.
Mr. Bradley, and I can just,
Sure.
going back to the whole, if you can write a right-line rule for the First Amendment, you should be a law professor. Governments such as the school district are allowed to have time, manner, place restrictions on First Amendment speech. So if they want to establish silent lunch, that's completely within their prerogative.
Correct, unless the district says, we want our children to be able to speak, at which point they show up at a board meeting, they change that policy, and they take away his rights to not let those kids talk. It's okay to let them talk quietly, we understand that, but the stakeholders,
Policy,
hold on, I'm finishing for just a second, then you can talk all you want.
okay.
And if I'm quick, then everybody understands. The way it works is we have stakeholders. policy number 011 says that these stakeholders have a right to tell this government board what they're going to do in the stakeholder school, this government school that they run through those laws made by their elected officials. So if you're telling me, and what I'm reading in this complaint, that somebody walked into a lunchroom and said, today everyone's silent, they can't talk amongst themselves, and then you punish someone for talking during that lunch, I understand that. I just want you to own it, if that's what you're telling me happened. If you're telling me something different happened, that's a whole different scenario. But what we're finding out is whether or not the parents have a right to say to the school, we want our kids to be able to socialize during lunch period and be nice to each
It's not
other.
about the socialization, it's about the distraction it can cause in the noise level. Socializing is not the issue.
The word silent is what we're talking about.
No, you just brought up socializing.
No, I'm talking
You just
about,
brought up the word socializing.
you can divert all you like, Mr. Cleaver. The question to the Lehighton Area Middle School about the handbook and about the report for disciplinary action is a function that this person broke a law or a rule and they're getting punished for it. And what they're getting punished for is talking, it says right here, talking during silent lunch. I didn't know they're allowed to have a silent lunch. I thought everybody would be allowed to speak, and if they're loud, that makes sense, we understand that. But are you telling me you actually have a lunch period where you say no talking at all and this person then talked?
I believe Mr. Tack already answered that question.
I don't think he did. I'm asking you because you're the guys in charge of
Well,
this.
I would gladly repeat what Mr. Tack has already
Please.
said. The students were given 3 warnings. They were warned on multiple days. We did not enact a silent lunch simply because we didn't want them to talk. We have an acceptable noise level that we allow our lunch aides to monitor. All of the students were warned. They received it during our rules and regulation meeting at the beginning of the year. Mr. Brown and myself monitor the cafeteria. When we get reports that they are too noisy, we go over there. I've shared with you that the police officers go into the cafeteria as well. All of the students were warned that they need to change their behavior. And after they were given multiple warnings, after they have seen their thermometers rise, which we keep a visual reinforcement for all of the students, after multiple attempts to try and change their behavior, then we have to go to a silent lunch and ask them to remain quiet.
And then no one can speak. Okay. That's all I want to hear.